Hey you all, I'm so hi to fellow dressmakers. You're welcome to another interesting tutorial. My name is Confidence. In this video, I'll be showing you how to cut two different types of cowl neckline. So we have two types and this is one of them. So this three that you're seeing here is the same and it's the same method and it's actually the simplest of them. Then we have this one which is the draped cowl neckline or the pleated cowl neckline, that when you look at the shoulder you see pleats and it's draped on the neckline. So if you want to know how to cut these two types of cowl neckline, kindly watch this video to the very end and let's get to it.
Hello, you don't even know my name, but I am happy you came by.
I have my basic bodice pattern ready and I'll be using this to show you. Most times when you see a cowl neckline, it's either on the front or the back. So if it's on the front, that means your back neckline is just going to be basic, like a simple neckline. But if it's on the back, that means your front neckline is just going to be a simple neckline. And then rule number one when you're making a cowl neckline is do not make the neckline too wide. Or if it's too wide, that means you have something like a rope at the back neckline to help hold it together, or you will see it falling off your shoulder. So to start with, you're going to slash this chest line, that's your armhole line there. Slash it all the way to the armhole, but do not cut it out all through, okay? Then you can decide to do away with the dart if you don't want that. You remove the dart allowance on the side if you want. And then you can also just extend the dart to this opening here so that it will be easy for you to close it. Whichever one you want is just fine. If you're closing the dart, that means it's adding to the fullness or ease around the bust area so that it sits very well for your bust area. Okay, so I'll be closing the dart this way and then we proceed.
I set my eyes on you, babe. Is it love at first sight? Turn on the lights, see the mess you made. 1, 2, in love with you. 3, 4, I'm on the floor. Come pick me up, oh, and tell me you know.
After closing the dart, I'll take a fresh pattern this way. I choose to use this brown paper so that you see it clearly. So this paper is really small, so I'm going to kind of join it like this to make it wide. You should have something as wide as this, okay, so that it contain your measurements. Then you're going to make sure that the center front from the chest line down is on a straight line, like it's straight on that point, okay, so that you can spread the upper part. Just make sure that the center part this way is straight, okay? If it's not straight, just make it straight so that it will be easy for you and not give you a hard time. Then you're going to measure what you have from the neck tip this way to where you want the neckline to stop. That's the neckline depth, where you want it, when you want the opening to be. If you want it at 11, just spread it anyhow you want to, just spread your pattern, but measure from the neckline tip this way and then coming to the center part of this brown paper. Whatever you have there is how low the neckline is going to be. Okay, for me, I choose to do, most times I do 7.5 or 8 inches because I don't like it showing my cleavage. Okay, I'll go ahead and hold this part. Just make sure that you do not cut that part all through so that you don't spread your armhole. It will affect the length. Okay, so after getting my desired neckline depth, I'm just going to run a straight line from that point. Make sure the line is straight like this. Then we are going to cut, and to cut I'm going to fold it this way so that I can cut it with my facing. You can just measure like 2 to 4 inches from that line that you drew on the neckline part up, and that would be the facing. But I will just cut it this way. Then after cutting, I will now go ahead and trim it off to how I want the facing to be. So you're going to cut it out the same way you see me doing it. It's very simple. Then after cutting out that part, I'm going to cut off this center part. Remember, we tried to make that part straight, and I'm going to turn it to the back this way. Remember, I said I would be trimming off this part so that I have my facing. Here I have about 3 inches for the facing, and that's it. You're just going to transfer it like this to your fabric. Just place it like this on your on a folded fabric, and then you cut it out. Now let's do the second method. and I'll be using this pattern to show you. I already have my basic bodies drafted out, and you're going to just draft out your basic bodies. You have your standard neckline measurements there, and include your bust point when you're drafting it out. Of course, why not? Then you're going to measure from the neckline depth. Remember, I said this is your standard neckline measurement. You're going to measure from that neckline depth to the bust point, and then you're going to divide whatever you have there into three, or how much you want it to drape on the neckline, like how much pleats or drape. If you want it four, divide it into four equal halves, and then you mark it out. I'm just trying to make sure that it's equal. I'm sharing mine into three, okay? So I'm just trying to make sure that it's equal, and fortunately it's equal for me. Then I'll come to the shoulder, and you're also going to divide whatever you have on the shoulder into three, or yeah, into three. One will be going to the shoulder tip, and then you share the other two, just like this. But just make sure you have 3 points on the shoulder. Then I'm going to connect it this way. The one on the bust point going to the shoulder tip. Remember, I said this is the bust point, and the other part is the chest line. So measure from your neck line depth to the bust point, not chest line. You divide whatever you have there into three, or how much pleats you want on the neckline. Then you're going to connect it this way. Can you see that? So as I was trying to explain, if you want to make your cow neckline wide, like the width, anything more than 3 inches and 3.5 is already wide. Then you have something like a support for the back. You will have a rope that you will stitch to the back neckline that you use to tie, like you tie it to help keep the front neckline in place. Anything other than that, when you wear your cow neckline, it's going to be dropping off your shoulder, and you don't want that. And it's also going to be too revealing more than it should. So I'm going to make the neckline 3.5, just the same way you see it. Then I would cut it out. And after cutting it out, I'll come to the bust point and slash it to the bust span line, just like this. That way I'll be able to close the bust that like this. You fold the bust that and place it on the bust point line. Then I'll tape it down with my masking tape. Then I'll close in, like blend in the side seam line the same way you see me doing it. Then after that, I will also close the waist dart. Once you slash a line or a point, it's going to help you transfer all the other darts that you want to close to that point. So I would close it the same way and tape it down with my masking tape. Then I will also blend in the waist line, because you can see that it's no longer straight because we already closed the dart. Now when you're blending in the waistline, you might want to come up ½ inch on the center point. You can see how I place my pattern master. Okay, just do it that way because this is cow neck and it's going to add fullness going to the center. When you do it that way, it will help tighten that point and still make it the same length that you should have there. After cutting all that out, I'm going to extend this line here to the armhole line, to the chest line this way, and then I'll slash it. I'll label this one 1, 2, 3, and then indicate the part going to the up. Then I'm going to cut it out. Please do it to label, because especially 2 and 3 might look the same after cutting it out. After cutting, I'll keep them aside. Then I will take a fresh pattern paper so that we can spread. So I'll be using this brown paper to show you, and what you're going to do is to place this one on it like this. If you can make the center front straight, but if you cannot, you can just ignore, because you will still use our ruler to make it straight. What matters is the spread. Okay, so I'm going to tape the paper down on the brown paper this way, the body is down on the brown paper like this. Then we start spreading. Now this particular part, you don't have to just leave it like that. You come down how much drape you want on that part. Whatever you spread depends on what you want. Okay, there's no guideline to this particular part. What matters is the placement and also the cutting. But because we transfer to that to this point, it might be wider than the rest of your spreading. I don't know if you understand. So you don't have to force it. You see this first one, you don't have to force it. it will be wider than the rest of other spreads, as you will see. So I'll be spreading with 2 inches. I'll come to the shoulder here and mark the 2 inches. You can decide to do 1 inch on the shoulder, like make the shoulder part lesser and then the center front part bigger. But I want it the same because I want the pleat on the shoulder to be really thick. Then what you're going to try to do is to match it up on the shoulder, like try to make it straight on the shoulder instead of the center front. Forget about the center front. Focus on making it even on the shoulder part. Then I'll tape the number 3 down. I would mark 2 inches again on the shoulder, come to the center front and mark 2 inches again. Then I'll take number 2 and place it on those 2 points that I marked. And it's pretty simple. Like I said, focus on making the shoulder part even because it will still be blending in the center part. So you don't have to worry about the center part being straight or not. So I'll continue until I get to the last. We actually at the last one anyway. So I'll mark 2 inches at the shoulder part, 2 inches on the center front, and then I'll place number 1 on it like this. Then I'll tape it down. You should have something like this by the time you're done, either longer or shorter, but it should actually look like this by the time you're done. So I'm going to measure what I have here. This point is where you measure how low you want the neckline to be, where the first drape will start. And me, I'm using 7.5. Okay, so from the neck tip I'll mark 7.5 there. Then I'm going to connect it straight. So if your neckline is longer or deeper than mine, that means you have to have enough paper on this part so that it will contain it, or you shift the other drape into the inside the more. So even if your neckline is like 5 inches from the neck tip, you're just going to connect it the same way you see me showing you. I will use a pen to show you. Don't worry about it shading off some part of the bodies like this. You see how I place my ruler, right? Don't worry about it shading it off. It will still come out so well, and it will even be more fitted, and it will still drape. Okay, just go ahead and get your desired neckline. You already draped, like spread, so it will definitely drape. So as long as this center part is straight, like a straight line, you don't have to worry about where your neckline stops or something like that. That's why I said you should focus more on making the shoulder even. Okay, so when you're done, you can decide to connect it like this, but that's not even what you're going for. So we will be doing it the right way. I'm going to connect straight this way on the 7.5 I'm using for the neckline, just like this. I'll connect it like that all the way to the down. You see how I position the curve. Okay, then this will be the facing. Go ahead and measure your desired facing length, and that's it. So I'll be cutting it out this way before we do the next step. Then I'll fold from one pink pattern to the other pink, just like this. Then you tape it down temporarily because we'll still be removing the tape. Okay, so you fold from one pink to the other pink, and then you tape it down. You fold another one from one pink to the other pink, and then you tape it down. You see that we actually did a great job. Like the shoulder slope is kind of even, but this way would even make it more even. So after that, you're not going to place your ruler like this and make it straight or make it smooth on that point, and that's it. So you can decide to trace it out before you cut it out, or you just like this. Now you cut it out, but before cutting it out, I'll fold in that facing just like this, just so I can cut it with the facing. Then I'll cut the shoulder slope. Okay, after cutting the shoulder slope, you can now open up the facing and remove all the tape that you have around the shoulder slope, and that's it. Cut out the armhole part and also the center front, and your pattern is set. By the time you're done, you should have something like this. Now I'm going to notch on the shoulder part. You see all this part that you see me notch, go ahead and notch so that it will be easy for you to pleat by the time you're done transferring to your fabric. And when you transfer to the fabric, do well to also notch all these parts that you're notching now also on your fabric. Place this on a folded fabric. You can also place it on a bias folded fabric if you want. It will still give you the same result as long as you have the right pattern. So this will be the end of our tutorial today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next one. Be good. Bye.